Well, welcome back. This is part two of a five-part series based on the introduction of why we saw the development of ECIO as a viable product. This is based on my role as a Director of Systems Development for Carefirst Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Federal Employee Program, located in Washington, D.C. I was in this position from the late 1990s to the early 2000s on that side of it. And so, just to go into what Carefirst is. Carefirst at that time was the largest healthcare insurer in the Mid-Atlantic region, serving 3.2 million members, including 525,000 federal employees, whose claims activities exceeded more than $7 billion annually. There were several geographically dispersed centers across the U.S., which processed approximately 250,000 transactions each night. So we'll start at the beginning. The problem statement here is that we had Excel financial sheets everywhere, which handled our budgets on individual projects. So on behalf of the Director's Office, which was a contracting authority for the U.S. federal government for the Blues, we needed to produce budgets and expectations for the upcoming year. For 2 months, we would generate spreadsheets, then assumptions would change, and we would have to tie everything in together again. Chaos was everything, pressures, etc. So we're just trying to, in a corporation, trying to manage our budgets, expenses alike within it. So we're looking at projects, budgets, the organization, reports, etc. on that side of it. So what we first of all started to see is we started to link out and identify the projects, what was out there and what was new development, what was KTLOs, start identifying some of those particular entities on that side of it. And this just shows you a little bit of some of the information we were capturing on our projects. Then we'd have to tie in our financials. So this is some of the information that we would started to collect on our financials. The budget requested, the budget approved, actual spends, and then eventually what was the allocation on that one. What was the description, etc. on that side of it. Then we had to tie budgets. So we get some of the budgets, and then obviously there are projects. So within the projects, what we'd have to do is then tie those into the various organizations, each of their components within it. In my particular organization, I had data warehousing, enrollment, maintenance, land DBAs, new claims application development, application development, and web development. So we had to get those things tied into it. And then finally, once we got all that information tied in, modifications, we can continue to make it a dynamic process. Then we had to produce our reports, present to the clients. They would revamp, and then we'd have to go back, start all over again, and alike. So these are some of the reports that are available under ECIO that we would be able to tie into it. And there's a separate video on kind of how this is, how's this blended in, the query side with like within it. So that explains a little bit about how the beginning of ECI was starting to be put into place, and that really formed the basis for the continued product enhancements and growth that it experienced. The next section, part 3, we're going to talk about the contract manufacturing industry and a different role that I held, which was in 2 areas: enterprise infrastructure and the PMO, and then we'll show you some of the changes that ECI went through from those 2 different roles. So, please feel free to visit our site for finding out more on the capabilities of ECIO and how you can order your own copy of it. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was illustrative of some of the information that's being collected. Thank you.